Hello and welcome to the table. We are not at a table.
No, we're not.
We
We're in a
could
car.
be going to a table as far as we're concerned because we're in a car. But
Right.
before we tell you why, I am Stefan. This is Josh. I'm not going to look at the camera too much because I'm driving. But in fact, as we're driving, I think this is one of the places where I ask a lot of why questions, or I just wrestle with things in general. I process while I'm driving. And
Mhm.
we've got a couple hours ahead of us on this drive. We're coming back from Wrightsville Beach. We just got together at a conference in Wrightsville Beach with a bunch of other pastors around the conference talking about what it looks like to live into this new United Methodist understanding of post disaffiliation and post COVID, certainly. But we are asking still in the kind of the end of this series, why God? And questions that we've brought up over the last several weeks that we as people, as Christians, and as curious beings ask, why God don't you answer my prayers? Why God do people do horrible things? Why God do disasters happen was last week. These are some of the questions that we've been wrestling with the last few weeks. We've been asking a lot of why questions, but maybe there's something behind some of these why questions.
Yeah. Stefan, I know you have experienced this multiple times, and anybody who has children who's been in the car with them, that you're driving, you're just kind of zoned out, not really focusing, and all of a sudden from the back seat, you hear, hey, why is the sky blue? And maybe you know the answer, maybe you don't know the answer, but it's always one of those kind of realization moments that you have with kids as they explore their curiosity and explore the world around them and are experiencing new things. And the reasonings that they have are oftentimes just plain curiosity. Maybe there's a fear or an anxiety that happens with that, and they want to know. They want to know, why is this thing happening? Why is this
Yeah.
curiosity that I have just now noticed a thing that is in this world? And more importantly, they look to those authority figures and say, do you have the answer? And there's a desire to share that with
Yeah.
somebody, to engage, to let uh, to let that person that they're talking to know, I feel alone in this.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the only one experiencing this. And then that kind of a loaded question almost of like, have you experienced that too? Do you know what I'm talking about and feeling in this moment?
You mean parents are supposed to have all the answers to their kids' questions
I
and
mean,
problems?
according to them, apparently. And I think both of us can acknowledge that when we were that age, we wanted our parents to be those superheroes and to say, hey, can you fix this problem for me?
Yeah.
Because it is wrecking my harmony right now with
Yeah.
the world that I'm in.
So you get the question, you get the why is the sky blue or why is this, and sometimes it's one, two, three, four, five, seven questions in a row, and finally by the seventh question you're like, just because it is,
Right.
it just is what it is. We'll just the sky is blue because that's the only color God had left on the palette when he
Right.
was working on it. So you get a little exhausted by the why question sometimes, and that curtness comes out because I said so. Do you think that's how a lot of people feel like with relationship to God or relationship to the church, maybe, or religion, that we have these set rules or understanding of how the world works? We just lay those out and we expect people to just take it and run with it, and we don't. Maybe the church doesn't give much space for those why questions or those curiosities to have to be able to be asked.
I think, and this is just, Josh Abraham's personal opinion time. So take that with all you want. That is one of the biggest failures of the church, I think, in a refusal to wrestle with those hard questions,
Mm.
and a desire for harmony and a desire for peace often has taken the front seat rather than exploring those motivations and those hurts.
Yeah,
Because it's easier for us to say, well, sometimes you're just going to have to live with this answer,
yeah,
than it is to say, yeah, I understand that that hurts, and I understand that you have real concerns. So why don't we spend some time talking about that uh, rather than just acknowledging the difficultness of it and then preserving this sense of harmony and tranquility that has got us to this point.
So what's behind that? For what could we think about is behind that inability to leave space to ask those why questions within the church, within family structures, within why don't we want to encourage more why questions?
I mean, from a parent standpoint, I mean, sometimes I know you probably feel this way. You don't really have all the answers all
Yeah,
the time. You don't really know why the minutia of this world works the way that it does because we're limited human beings who
yeah.
can only really understand the things that we have been either taught or experienced. It's uncomfortable for us to say, I'm limited and I
Ooh.
don't know.
As you're saying that, I think some people may think, well, the church or an organizational structure that is maybe questioned, well, they don't want to lose their authority, they don't want to lose their say-so on the matter, and so they don't answer or they don't leave space for those why questions because they want to hold on to that sense of security of themselves. But what you're saying is, and I love this, is that let's say the church, for sure, the church really desperately, truly, at its heart and its core, wants to help you, wants to help whatever that thing that you're dealing with, that struggle that you hold, that question that you're wrestling with. And if you ask a question or you ask that why question that the church doesn't think it can respond to well enough to help, the church is afraid of not having a space of importance and matter in your life.
Mhm.
But then what you're encouraging, and I love this, is that the church and us Christians as individuals would just practice holding conversations, that we don't have to have the answers, that we can be in conversation and just hold that ambiguity or the mystery or the pain and the hurt about the unknown. We can hold that all together and still do good and still be good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. The best strength that the church has is not in its overwhelming force. It's not in this sense that, we're a dominating presence in the world,
Yeah.
but we are weak. And we're like Jesus, who surrendered unto death, but in doing so, gained a strength and gained a peace that surpasses that understanding.
Yeah.
And that's the model we have to live with.
Mm.
Nobody, it goes against our human nature to admit weakness.
Yeah.
Part of our answer and our solution is to encourage that never-ending curiosity,
Yeah.
that never-ending desire to find answers, and that never-ending desire to feel like there's order and justice in the world.
So when we say, God, why aren't you fixing this? That's a way of us pointing out, God, this thing that's happening is not working. It's not working for us. It's not working for that community, that group of people that's being affected, whether it's kids or minorities or refugees, whatever it is. We're acknowledging to God, this part is broken. We're giving attention to it.
Right.
It's the first way to fix a problem is to acknowledge first that you have a problem, right? And this is part of that acknowledgement. Why, God, aren't you fixing this? This is a problem that I'm acknowledging.
Right. And the second part to that is, going back to my teenage self, wanting to flex my authority as much as I can, learning to live with that awful, uncomfortable truth of God saying, it's going to be okay. I'm working on it.
Yeah. If we can imagine in this relationship that we have with God on working in the world and trying to fix the broken pieces of the world, we talk about being co-creators with God. We talk about working alongside God working alongside us, with us throughout the world. And maybe one way for us to view it is to think we are, as children of God, like children, sitting in the back seats. And maybe some of us on a booster seat or a car seat, or maybe sitting in the middle, squished between our siblings and feeling like we don't have any elbow room. We're sitting in the back seat and we're looking out the windows and we see the world that's passing by, and we see the green luscious trees, but then we see the car that's broken down on the side and we think, oh no, what's going on with them? We're passing by that city landscape that's changing so fast that we don't recognize this city from when we drove through a year ago, or however that looks. So we're sitting in the back seat and we're asking these questions, and we see some brokenness, and we ask the person in the driver's seat, who is God, driving this car and asking, why is this the way that it is?
Mm-hmm.
Why is this broken?
Yeah.
And I like the analogy because that really puts us in a participation with God. God is driving the car, but we are in the car with God, and we are seeing the things that God is seeing also. And we're a part of this navigation and pointing out what we see in the world and what's working, what's not working. We're a part of that conversation. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good analogy.
I like that thought of being in the back seat because I'm still part of the journey.
Yeah.
I'm going in that direction with God.
Yeah.
On that road trip of life. But I don't have to be the one that's responsible for knowing how to get there.
So we're not taking a back seat necessarily, not in that colloquial sense of like we're not a part of it. We really are. We're in the back seat and a part of this car ride with God along this journey. I think that's great.
Yeah.
And that helps answer a little bit of the second part of that question, which is why, God, does it have to be me? That's a part of fixing the world. I think this is a great way to enter into the season of Palm Sunday and Easter. A God who, in the model of from Palm Sunday to Easter, walked a path that I don't think Jesus would have chosen on his own. That the people who were condemning him to death, the people who were walking along the Via Dolorosa, that this God chose to walk alongside what the people of that time were struggling with, and it was wrapped around identity and fear and anxiety about their place in the world. And Jesus chose to walk alongside them. Mm-hmm. And if they had a car, they would have driven together, I think.
Yeah. But they did have a donkey that our Lord get to ride in on.
Yeah, they had a donkey. All right, there you go. Absolutely. So they journeyed together. And so this is what we plan to do. We hope that you continue to journey with us as we continue to ask why questions all throughout this year. We're moving into Palm Sunday and Easter, and then afterwards we're going to be moving into some questions about why Methodist Church, why this church in particular. And I think you're going to really enjoy those conversations and the work that we'll do together. So we invite you to that. Don't forget to like and subscribe this video. And if you want to be a part of a study around this video, there's always the At Your Table guides that you can find on our website. You can even scan the QR code that pops up on this screen and join together with yourself, your friends, your family, a small group, and talk about these amongst yourselves. Have more why questions. Come up with more things to talk to God about. So we invite you to all of that and to join us next time when we drive and finally get to the table. All right, we'll see you next week.
Bye.